Welcome everyone to Myth-Informed with your host Dimitri and fill-in host Sean. I almost said Brian, but he's not here for, personal reasons.
No, he's traveling for work. That's not that personal.
No, I'm kidding. Today with us in the studio, virtually, we have an up-and-coming YouTube star, DeclanBlack, an Aussie gamer, YouTube creator, and all-around fantastic personality. Welcome to our lovely show, Declan.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been looking forward to this, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. And before we get started, I wanted to give a big shout out to all of our patrons and our our growing patron list. We love you all. We support we love your support, and you will keep creating content. So hopefully, send us feedback. Hopefully, you like it.
Yeah, and we support them too.
Yeah, we support everyone.
Why not? Yeah.
Free speech and whatnot.
Yeah, Declan, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're really excited to have this conversation. You know, we kind of like met, online when, your channel started exploding, covering the controversy, quote unquote controversy that surrounded Mythcon. And
well, we stumbled upon each other.
Yeah, we stumbled upon each other. And
But your channel has existed before then. This was just a nice spike in the ratings, so to speak, right?
Yeah, I've been around for about a year and started taking it seriously about, say, 3 months ago. So, yeah, I've been around for a while.
Okay.
But, man, yeah, I followed Christy because of Bearing and Sargon, and then she started covering you guys a lot. So I was like, yeah, screw it, I'll just start covering you guys as well. So.
Well, yeah, we were happy that you did. And, it's funny about your channel, Declan. It's like anytime, every day I refresh, there's a new video. And that's...
Yeah, that's just because when I watch a YouTube channel, I like to have a video there every day. So I'm just trying to do what I like in my channel type of thing.
I think it's so successful because that sexy Aussie accent. That's really, I think, that's your secret sauce right there, man.
Oh, of course.
You just got to keep it up.
Aussies.
I know. Speaking of Aussies, you do a lot of your videos focus on other, I would say, Aussie content creators, other Aussie YouTube personalities. So is that just because you're... did it just happen that way just because they're local to you, or did you feel like you have a kindred affinity / hatred for folks that are on your side of the pond?
Oh, it's definitely the latter. I've been trying to cover it a bit less because I get really frustrated because if it's, say, in America, then I can disassociate myself a bit with it. But, yeah, seeing it, especially with an Aussie accent, man, it just really boils me out. We have some really loopy ones down here. Have you heard of Clementine Ford, by any chance?
No. And I don't even think you've made a video about that person.
Yeah, I can't. Look her up after this. She's this awful social justice warrior in Australia that's just, oh, man. She says some horrific stuff. Look her up. I won't do it because, yeah, she's... a lot of people know her outside of Australia, and I really wish they wouldn't because she's just one... Like, she wants to go to Australia Day. She basically says we're all racist all the time. Yeah, she sucks.
I've heard from other creators you are all racist.
Oh,
basically.
Well, what's interesting is, what brought us together is obviously we started looking, at the MiniBosses because of all of the hatred and all of the smear campaigns and everything that was coming our way. And, and you cover these MiniBosses. For those that don't know who the MiniBosses are,
that's a copyright.
Just go.
That Sean has.
Just go on Declan's channel and you'll know immediately who these MiniBosses are. But it's interesting to me as an outsider because, like, before Mythcon, really, I really wasn't in the YouTube world at all. I was more focused on like getting authors and actors, comedians, and things like that. And once Mythcon started happening, that started getting me into that YouTube world as far as studying it and seeing who the players are and stuff. Like, how did you, like, what turned you on to, like, the YouTube world and, the MiniBosses specifically?
Well, I watched Bearing, Sargon, Chewing Head, and Skeptic. I watched them for a while, and, yeah, it just got to the point where they were just lying about people that I actually respected so much that I was like, I'm just going to start making videos on it because... Yeah, you've obviously been thrust into the world of these idiots, but man, they've done some really, like Christy was partly responsible for Bearing's docs, and it's just some of the actions that they do in the for kindness is just awful. So yeah, it just got to the point where I had to start making videos on them.
Yeah, and like one thing I've noticed in the YouTube world, obviously, you know, when YouTube was first created, I'm that old to remember when YouTube was first created. It was like, it was created in, there was an option that was like, when you put a video up, you can hit a response button. And like, that was their whole thing, was like, that was the platform was responding to other YouTube creators. And that's kind of, you know, was their first iteration, their first generation of YouTube. And, you know, I've seen, obviously this trend has continued. But like, you know, one of the things from an outsider standpoint, I have to think that some of these outrageous characters that we see, especially like the mini bosses who are outrageous, I think they're just doing it. Honestly, I don't think they really believe what they're saying. I really think this is an act. You've been studying them a long time. Like, what's your take on it? Do they really, you know, think these things? Do they really, you know, is this really how they behave in their normal lives?
That's a great question. I was actually speaking to some people on my Discord because apparently Christie's a university professor. So I surely hope that she doesn't act. But I think it's just they've got to the point where they have to double down so much that it might as well be that they believe it. Because, yeah, like if you watch Steve Shibez at all, which you probably have because I know he's done a couple of videos on you, he will just make claims that are so incredibly absurd. And then that's his argument. Like, I know he hates Donald Trump at the moment, and you like him or hate him. He's definitely not a white supremacist. But yes, and Steve claims like, yeah, that's his. And punching Nazis. I don't know if you guys were around, but
we were.
Social Justice Warrior group for a while were really keen on punching Nazis, so they're actually advocating for it. And it's just it's the point. Even if they don't believe it, it's just awful. So yeah, I hope that they don't. But a couple of them, I reckon, like Christy and Steve, I reckon they're just too far gone now that, yeah, they've bought into their bullshit, so to speak.
I think these people are, to an extent, they're fringe, so they're not mainstream. Thus, I would say, I mean, they don't have huge followings, and just like progressives can make fun of like a Richard Spencer or I don't know, I don't know any, you know, whites
people.
Like
David Duke.
Sure, but David Duke is also not on YouTube, so I'm trying to think of like a white supremacist YouTuber, but I don't follow these people, so I don't know who it is. Yeah, us, of course. Yeah, right. We're labeled as white supremacists. But if you, I mean, it would be like someone creating response videos to someone like that. So, to an extent, and I know you do this, but these people are, I would say, you know, relatively easy to pick on because they have these fringe, weird ass views. The thing that I don't understand is why are there not more center left content creators? And I know, you know, in our discussions, because we talk about, you know, planning for the next conference and we want to bring people from different views, but we don't want to bring these fringe personalities in. Someone like ContraPoints comes up as a, you know, as an example of a rational kind of center left content creator with a, you know, a sizable following. So, but those channels are not plentiful, and I don't know why more, you know, progressives, even SJW types, if they want a palatable platform, why don't they, you know, kind of stay in the center?
Yeah, it's because like the feminist social justice movement, it's kind of not dying, but it's not as powerful as it used to be. So they did actually used to have more followers, but now since they've been debunked so much, it's kind of died. Like I think ContraPoints would be very interesting to have. I don't know if the center left. I think I've seen quite a lot of views, but yeah, it would be interesting at least. But I think it's because the social justice warriors hate center-left people way more than anyone on the right. Like, that's why they hate
what? Because they're like Uncle Toms or whatever. They're traitors.
It's because they're on the left, but they're not progressive leftists. So T.J. Kirk's a great. I think he's center-left. Chris Reagan, maybe even Lacey Green. I think she's really improved as well. But yeah, any center-left person is like the mortal enemy of these people, because then it shows that there's people on the left that aren't obviously insane, and we need way more, because if you want obviously a good dialogue, you want both sides to have good arguments so you can reach some sort of conclusion. But if it's just one side is just sort of right and the other side's just insane, then yeah, it's not going to work out. So
and you know, one of the things too that I've noticed, and again, from an outsider's perspective, like immediately when I heard Bearing, it was entertaining and informative and funny. Sargon, entertaining, informative. You know, he throws in jokes. Like, you know, if we watch your channel, if we watch the Quarterings channel, it's entertainment, it's funny. And, you know, it's obviously there's a little controversy in there, but it's not across the line. It's not, you know, nothing ridiculous. Like, I just think there's this value with the channels that, you know, that intertwine the entertainment and the commentary and also, you know, the information and stuff. But it just seems like, you know, if you look at the MiniBosses, like their channels are not entertaining. They're not funny. They're, you know, I don't care what ideological like side you pick.
Sean, that's because racism is nothing to laugh at.
But that's the point. You know, it's like all right. If we're gonna look at it, like, what are some like Australian sports teams, Declan? Like the big ones.
Australian sports teams?
Yeah, like what are some sports?
Like their rugby, like the
sure. Like give me some.
Sydney Swans from the AFL. Let's go with that.
There we go.
You're looking for a specific team. Who the hell is gonna know that?
Any team, just any team. All right, just fine. Any team. This is the point I'm trying to make is this. When you look at a team, this is how I look at it. It's like, you know, a team, they're opposing one another. If you're going to say, okay, Bearing is opposite of Christie or whatever. Bearing, if you look at the scoreboard and you look at the followers and you look at the views and you look at, you know, just the all around, you know, just content, like Bearing's, it's like 10,000 and you know, Christie is like 5. Like, there's, like, seriously, like her team's getting destroyed. Like, how do they not see, you know, the content they're putting up is not engaging, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like,
you know, what I would argue there is that they found a niche, because there's always going to be followers of one side or another. So just like I assume that Richard Spencer doesn't work, he just gets money from like the alt-right donors who he has all around the country. I don't know if, for example, Christie or whoever, I don't want to name names, but I don't know if these people work, but they do have their niche following, and these people give them money. And so they sustain.
No. I want to get Declan's take on this, but I have a counterpoint to that.
But in terms of Christie making money, I think that may be why she actually, because I did a shitty doco on her. So her channel was originally about atheism, and you could sort of see her being a bit feminist right at the start, but it wasn't awful. Like, she could riff a bit more. There was more life. But so I think as she saw it, but then Steve Shives came along and New Atheism introduced feminist to atheist, basically.
Atheism Plus.
Atheism Plus. Sorry, it's a really lame movement where intersectionality between all it died pretty quickly. But then so a channel transformed into just like feminist, and then it transformed again into just anti-Bearing and Sargon. And she even made a video recently saying that she won against Bearing because she had a year-long plan with some of the other social justice lunatics to make him solely focus on them, to try and shield the other social justice warriors from him, which he still covered other people. And yeah, so it's not just that she's lost in terms of like the scoreboard. She thinks she's winning. And that's the scary thing. Like, the amount of traction she's had to her channel, like, I passed her already. And it's just, I can't, that's what really shocks me. I can't see how she thinks she's possibly winning this. Like, Bearing keeps to go up and she's stuck there. So yeah, it's just frustrating.
That's the point I was making. I guess that's what I was saying is, like, if you look at, you know, you remember the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you had the Lifeline where it's like you ask the audience, and for the most part, the audience, the majority, you know, when everyone gets the vote, like, they're right? So, like, if you look at the differences in sizes of audiences, how do they not see, okay, well, you know, we're not growing our channels, we must not be doing something right. The audience has spoken, you know? So it's like, that's hard for me, like, to kind of get past. Just where's the logic there where it's like, maybe we're not doing this right. Maybe we shouldn't be attacking and lying about people and, you know, trying to dox them.
But it's the only way they get views now. Like, if you watch Christie's channel, she'll do a video about Bearing a Sargon and it'll get maybe 2K or something. But if she does anything about atheists, it's like lucky to get 300 or 500 views. So, but the problem is they're not really making any money from it. So that then begs the question, do they actually believe it that much ideologically that they can put up with this just embarrassment day after day without changing? Like, if I had received the backlash they had got, I would be changing my channel just because like, I've been around for a couple of years if I was them, and yeah, everyone basically just hates me. So I'm obviously not doing something right.
Or just go get a new hobby, you know? Like, seriously, it doesn't have to be, you know, like, it doesn't have to be YouTube. It could be something else. Yeah, when you're getting that disseminated, when you're losing that much, like, it's like, well, maybe we just throw in the towel here. Maybe we shouldn't just be, you know, attacking people for no reason. And, you know, again, for me, like, coming in, it was all brand new. So, like, you know, I got to see all the different creators, but then, you know, just the vitriol that was coming from one side. And this is, you know, up, down, left, or right. I don't care what your ideology is. Like, there's one specific group of people that would stop at nothing to attack us and lie about us and try and destroy us. And it was just disgusting. And then you look on the other side, well, none of those people were doing any of that. You know, like, nobody. You know, it just seems to me like the tactics that are being used are just so poor.
Well, yeah, Christy can dox people, so obviously... But yeah, that's the thing, like, I might not agree with you everything ideologically, but man, you were just trying to hold a conference with a couple of speakers that it's not that they are the skeptic community, it's just what you view as like a good represent, or even just like a skeptic in that. And she doesn't have to go, they don't have to go, they can just literally go for a walk, go to the beach, but no, they have to shut you down. And it's a scary thought, because you guys are, it's not like you're far right, alt-right or anything like that. Like, geez, you're like really, really nice. And yet it's just they view you as the enemy, and then that's it. It's just like they don't care how far they, you know, demean themselves as long as they destroy you. And just the backlash was so good from just the community, I guess, because, yeah, you guys are one of the only ones that have actually just been like, no, we're just going to do it anyway. And yeah, it paid out for you. I can't wait for Mythcon 2018. I'd be looking for some people that would be pissing them off even more. So, because, yeah, I just don't know where they get they have the moral right to deem who we can. And now they're trying to blacklist people from the atheist community. They want to blacklist you. They want to blacklist Sargon, Bearing. I'm a skeptic, Shoehead. They want to just like, oh, they're not the real skeptics. We are the real skeptics. And that comes back to, you know, like Shoehead has like 800,000 followers.
Right.
And, like, you've got Christy, Kevin, all of them, they wouldn't even meet it whatsoever. So how do they feel they can blacklist people?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to idea sharing, and, you know, we've always been about neutrality. Yeah. So we don't really shit on anyone, although we do get, you know, certain, you know, hate from one side and kind of, you know, more support from another, but
now,
but right,
like,
right,
it wasn't always like that.
Well, of course, but we still maintain our neutrality. I mean, unless you're just not, you know, you'd have to be an absolute raging dick for us not to engage with you, and so for the next conference, even for this one, I mean, we always try to get diversity of opinion, diversity of views. We had, you know, women minorities on stage, and it wasn't some sort of posturing from us to be seen as, you know, egalitarian. We are genuinely interested in these people's views. That's why they were platformed. So, so I think that the criticism that was levied against us, to an extent, is not valid. I'm not.
I would say basically all of it's not valid, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I know.
The stuff I've seen them say, like, apparently just because you have Sargon on, you agree with them 100%. Yeah. So you also agree with Scientologists, people that want to, you know, about Islam. It's just, and you guys can have whoever you want on. Like I said, your conference and my conference might be different, but I want you to be able to have whoever you want on as a speaker. So, and that's the thing. Like, if I viewed them as, you know, just say, yeah, Christy Winter's on, I would say it's probably not the best choice, but I wouldn't try and shut you down for it. And that's where they never learn this. Every time they find something that they can't beat ideologically, it's just, yep, shut it down. We're going to ban it. It's just wrong. It's just,
well, and that's,
I don't want people to lose the chance to obviously hear all these differing opinions because Christy Winters is triggered. It's just, no, Christy, just go away. Like,
right. Well, that's what I was going to say about, like, your channel, Bearing, Sargon, you know, all these other channels, you know, Armored Shoe. You guys, when you present your arguments, you're presenting an argument, you're critical of people, but you're not outright insulting them, and you're not outright lying about them, and you're not outright trying to ruin their lives. And you know, that was immediately apparent to me. And, you know, you do a great job in your videos of just saying, okay, here's the argument. This is the counter argument. This is what you're saying. This is why I think what you're saying doesn't make sense. And I think there needs to be more of that, you know, honest criticism.
I think there's some room for improvement, though, because the trend that I see with, you know, like Declan, yourself, and some of the other creators that Sean mentioned, is it does tend to swing, I'll say, negative is probably not the right word, but it's like, this person said something, it's stupid, here's why it's stupid. I think there may be room to find people who have legitimate ideas in these fields. You'd have to sift through a shit ton of videos to do it. But you could find someone, again, I don't like advocate for counterpoints, but I'm going to bring that up because that's the only progressive I've seen so far who has some valid points, and go, here, you know, that one person has shitty ideas. Here's an example of someone who covered this topic way better, and then show a clip of that. And so that could be, you know, promotion from maybe a progressive kind of liberal perspective, but one that's couched in reason rather than not, you know, someone who's psychotic and just lying about things. You know what I mean?
No, it's a good point. It's hard to find the.
Oh, of course, it's a lot of work for you.
Take Contra, for example. Yeah, Contra said some quite, like, Blair White's advocating for, it was like transgenocide or something like that.
Jesus.
So, like, Contra has some good points, but then, like, the alt-right video that Contra did, it was pretty progressive, just to say the least. But yeah, I would say Contra is one of the, like, ones, like, I said, you should look up Lacey Green.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't agree with her a lot, but she seems to have really, like, she took the red pill, and, like, I'm all for people on someone that's different to me ideologically. I just want them to be good. But yeah, I generally cover Christy and Steve, like, the psychotics, just because, man, they just really piss me off. Like, you can literally just go to their channel, pick a video, and they're lying about someone, and they do it with their own moral conscience as well. That's what really bugs me. I think they might actually think they're good people, and that they're doing it for some moral good, and that's just disgusting. Like, you're trying to ban people just so you feel good? No, I don't. But yeah, that's a good point. I should try and look up some social justice warriors that aren't just lunatics.
You know, I think that would seriously. I mean, that's a game changer. That you could 100% set yourself apart, because now you can kind of straddle this line where, you know, you're still going to get people who, you know, who love the attack videos, but you know, you may get some of the more liberal community going, oh, okay, you know, I could see what this guy's saying.
Yeah, no, it is a good point. And if you find any, like please.
I don't have time for that shit, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd have to look through hours of.
I'm sure Brian might.
Yeah,
Brian might.
Oh yeah, Brian lives in YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not plugged in 24/7.
He is
basically
on his phone. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. It's an interesting community that Sean and I were introduced to because of the nature of the work we did here.
Yeah.
You know, again, I can't stress this enough, is that, you know, we're in this gray area where we try to take points from everyone and make sure that we can listen to dissenting viewpoints. So, as in, I don't want to give away, but as unreasonable as some of these positions may be on one side or another, you could find a kernel of truth somewhere, and that's kind of where we got to end up.
But I guess that goes back to my original point. That's where I think, you know, and I'll say it, Steve Shibez, he's insane. You know, I've never said that before.
He's a lunatic.
Sean has outed himself.
He's literally he's literally fucking crazy. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And, like, the fact that he, like, blocks everyone and, like, creates his own little, like, weird echo. Like, imagine that. Imagine that in a social setting. Let's take it to work. Let's just say, oh, you're going into work today. Oh, your boss has criticisms for you. And then you just, like, block him out. And you're like, oh, I can't talk to him. Or, you know, a coworker comes up, oh, hey, I'm going to talk to you, Steve. No, I'm going to block him out, too. Like, who, like, seriously, who acts like that in real life? It's insane. But that's the point I'm making. It's like, I think it's so over the top. Like, so I really think in a lot of these cases, like, they're begging for it. Like, they really, like, they're addicted to, like, getting this weird, like, criticism takedown
masochism
stuff.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, man. Like,
it would be masochist. That's a really interesting point. I never thought of it like that.
Psychological
they do just enjoy
masochism
being destroyed.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, you know, like I said, Declan, you've been dealing with it a lot longer than I have, honestly. But like, it's just, I just don't know. Like, how can you just fail that often and still act ridiculous? You know, like it just. When does the logic set in? I guess.
Oh, and I think, but like Kevin Logan, for example, he just did a video in which he's telling Philip DeFranco that he is a white man whinging and that he shouldn't be colorblind because apparently that's leading into the alt-light narrative on YouTube. So it's just like.
Wait, what? Wait, take me over that again. What
Sure.
was that?
So do you know the YouTube channel Philip DeFranco? He's massive. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know Kevin Logan, but he's an SJW.
Weirdly, I know who Kevin Logan is.
Well, we know of Kevin Logan because of you, Declan.
You probably know them all. Anyway, so
all the
he did a video in which he's telling DeFranco that he shouldn't be. He's saying he's being anti-PC or a bit anti-PC because he's being colorblind. And Kevin Logan literally said that Philip DeFranco was just a white man whinging and that him being colorblind leads into the alt-light narrative on YouTube. And he thinks the alt-light is like Sargon, Shoehead. So it's just like they are not even in reality. Like Philip DeFranco is probably one of the most neutral people you could ever meet on YouTube. Like I watch him, Kevin Logan watches him, so he must have an ability to reach, like what you were saying, both sides of the audience. But for what Kevin was saying, like being colorblind means that you're feeding into the alt-light narrative. Well, then the alt-light are apparently great people because, well, like it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, like, you know, when you're using these terms, when you're using the terms, you know, in a hyperbolic way that aren't even describing what you're trying to describe, like, that takes away the freaking power of those words. You know what I mean? Like, if you're calling us a racist, I'm Mexican. The co-founder is Nicaraguan. You know, Dima's a Jew. But you're calling us white nationalists, you know, like, and it's like, you know, now you've just played down that word. Now it doesn't mean anything. You know, what do you actually call the real racist and the real white nationalist? Like, you have to have a different term now.
It's just, well, the thing is, and I can tell you why. I mean, it's just easier. Ad hominem attacks don't take any brain power. You just call someone stupid, or you call them racist, and then you drop the mic and you walk away, and you feel like you had a moral victory. But if you try to unpack someone's principles, you have to do research. You have to come with facts, with maybe statistics, studies. I don't know.
Yeah,
that takes a long time to do. You can't produce a video a day or a video a week or whatever it is being able to do that. So I think that's the difference, and that's why they don't.
Yeah. What do you think, Declan?
Yeah. Plus, they like it worked for them for a while. Like that person that landed the first, it was like a spaceship or something on a comet, and then he gets fired from his job. But yeah, you're right. They've completely overused racist, sexist, white nationalist. So now we're basically buggered. Like, if you say white nationalist, if someone viewed you guys as white nationalists, they're going to think freaking Richard Spencer's a really, really nice guy. So and the social justice warriors are actually just helping the other side.
Yeah.
And then, they will eventually lose political power, eventually. And then we'll have the problem of, obviously, the backlash from the right, and then the left will have no credibility whatsoever. So we'll just have the same scenario happening, but on the right side. So yeah, it's really actually them denigrating all the meanings of these words to just mean like, oh, I don't like you, I disagree with you. Yeah, it's really, I guess, white nationalist plus or something now. I guess we'll have to start calling Richard Spencer.
It's a weird dichotomy.
Well, it's funny that you brought that up because now, and you know, I want to get your take on this because we are, you know, I don't know if we're gonna coin this like a phrase now, atheism negative. I don't know.
No, that sounds stupid.
I know it sounds stupid.
Let's come up with another.
It sounds
name.
stupid, but it's like the opposite of it, like whatever we're doing now. Like we came in. As a secular organization, you know, we've been around for 4 years. We've done a lot of different things. We've kind of always tried, you know, different things. Like we did conferences and videos and movies and like all these different things, podcasts. And you know, we're always trying to like throw darts at the board and see what sticks because you never know, you know, what's going to stick. And, you know, coming into this before Mythcon 4, we were trying to start to tie in like entertainment because I personally think people are just bored in atheism. I think people are just sick of the same fucking gods doesn't exist arguments, and the conferences are so goddamn boring now. And like seriously, I went to one earlier this year because someone I knew was speaking there, and like I didn't watch any of the presentations because they were terrible. Like I would fall asleep. Like I really would. Like it you know. I think the entertainment thing like actually wakes people up. You know, it's like, let's look at something, let's get excited about something.
Because you need a charismatic. I mean, there can only be one Hitchens per generation.
Yeah, and
we don't have one.
I have no issues with like peppering in lectures, PowerPoints, things like that. But when the whole day, when it's like 30 PowerPoints, it's like I'm back in school, and it's like that's why I hated lecture in school. Like who's like, yay, I get to go listen to a PowerPoint today? Who says that?
Yeah, it's funny how YouTube creators can teach people more because they're more entertaining than teachers.
Yes.
It is actually a really good point.
Yeah.
And that's why, I think your conference will be next year smashing, because it was quite interesting. Like, some people don't like the heated arguments. I really, really do if you actually get to points instead of Thomas just, grandstanding and just calling the audience names and stuff. That was funny, but it doesn't get to the argument. But yeah, I think if it's entertaining, you'll get butts on seats type of thing. So
right, and and that's what we were thinking. So like we're trying to tie in entertainment. We're bringing on comedians and stuff like that, and then we started looking at the YouTube world. We're like, holy shit! Not only are these people atheists, but they're also incredibly entertaining, and that was where the idea first came from. And so I was wondering, so like, did you know anything about the atheist world before Mythcon?
Yeah, I've been in it for a while. Like, I follow a lot of, obviously, prominent atheist channels. So, yeah, I've been in it for a while.
Okay. Is that how you started in the community, or did you just follow some channels and then were like, oh, shit, they're atheists. Maybe I should be one, too?
Oh, no, that's, I was that before. So, yeah, I don't know. I've never really had, like, I've noticed a lot of atheists sort of really some atheists really dislike religious people because they've grown up in a very fundamentally religious household type of thing. I've never had that, so it doesn't matter to me if you're a Christian or an atheist or something, as long as you've got good ideas.
Okay.
But obviously, if you're a Scientologist, I might be going,
right.
I think that perspective is the privilege that we have, using the word privilege, of growing up in the 21st century, where that stigma just doesn't. I mean, I guess if you're in Saudi Arabia, you're fucked.
Right.
But if you're here or if you're in Australia, then people tend to be a little more open minded. So no one's gonna lynch you, Declan, for going.
Well, but there really is a taboo around it still. I mean, seriously, like even in the U.S., especially where we are, like we can't openly say, "Hey, I'm an atheist" or whatever. So I was like. I grew up the same way, no religion at all, really secular. But then, like, when I figured out what atheism was, that really got me interested in this world. And that's why we started the organization initially. But I guess what the point I was making was, Declan, you were knowledgeable about the atheist world. You were following some people, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And so I moved into, obviously, because I honestly think feminism is like a religion or a cult at this point. So basically, moved into, obviously, people were debunking Christianity for a while, and then it moved into debunking these idiots.
Cool.
So, and I don't think that Christy Winters, Steve Shives, or any of them are actually atheists. Just because I don't think you can be an atheist, they're definitely not skeptics, obviously. Because if you believe in the patriarchy and all these like white privilege and intersectionality and all this fantasy land, then you believe in gods and demons.
Well, it's being an ideologue,
Well, but I guess where I was driving to is, you knowing about the atheist world, you're in YouTube. Did you ever think it would be that big of a fucking deal to have YouTubers go to a conference?
Oh, I didn't think that it would be like I knew that you would get some backlash, obviously, because if you invited Sargon, so Christy instantly dislikes you. But I did not believe that she would go to such lengths to get you guys, obviously. Like, when I heard that she contacted the people that were obviously hosting the venue to try and get you shut down.
Yeah.
And just I think she really rallied her troops for it as well.
Yeah.
But I never thought that you would get that much backlash.
Yeah,
and from an atheist as well. It's not from any of the religious people. It's from freaking Christy Winters.
Right, and it's not just her though, and that's the thing that's like really shocking to me now. It's these atheist quote-unquote leaders. I mean, we have Aaron Ra on the record. We have Dillahunty on the record. We have Seth Andrews on the record. These people that that we've worked with in the past. They've supported us. We've had, we've given them platforms, and so on and so forth. Like, what the, like it just blew my mind, like all the backlash that we got, people blacklisting us, things like that. But now what's funny, and we're starting to see it, and when this comes out, I'm sure more of this will be happening. But Sargon was on Atheist Republic. Sargon was talking to Eli Bosnick. People are starting to, engage with the quote unquote, untouchables that we brought. Like, I honestly think that, again, this is just people overreacting to something that they don't understand, and they're going to start to see value. I hope they start to see value in these types of personalities being in atheism.
I think a door has been opened, and now people are walking through it. It's a new day. It's a new age. And some of the people who you mentioned, I think the problem is that they see their star falling and other people's star rising. And so this was always the realm of intellectuals. People didn't have the balls to be atheist openly. Now you have people like that have 700,000-800,000 followers
who are smart and funny.
Who I would say that they're not intellectuals in the same way that a Seth Andrews is.
No.
So I
would challenge you on that any day.
I will give him that.
I'll challenge you on that any day.
Okay, I wouldn't go out here and say, oh yeah, Shu was just as big of an intellectual as Seth
Okay,
Andrews.
first of all, there's different types, and we're going to get way off on this. There's the intelligence and Shu's ability to create her content is unbelievable. What she has done with her platform is fucking unreal.
Oh, I know.
Like, seriously, when people talk about intelligence, intellectuals, there's intelligence that, intelligence in media, intelligence in business, intelligence in whatever, innovation, entertainment. And Shu definitely has an incredible amount of talent and ability in that world. So I take big issue when I hear people say that.
Sean, I totally agree, but I think you nitpicked. I said she's not an intellectual.
What does that mean, though? Declan, I'm sorry. We're going to get into
Yeah, I know.
We're going to have to take that.
Hey, it's fun. Keep going.
No. It just means that she's not like a studied academic who has poured over the research and is presenting her findings. That is what I would classify like a Richard Carrier or a Seth Andrews as. That's not saying that she doesn't make great content. She does. That's just a different... I'm saying that the realm of atheism has always been, I read a bunch of books, here's why God doesn't exist, mic drop, done. That has moved on, and they want to be the superstars of that community, and it's moving on, and they feel their influence waning, and I think that's why we're seeing this backlash.
So are you going to say Sargon's not an intellectual?
Not in the way that some of these academics are.
Sargon,
he's a smart guy.
I witnessed Sargon literally argue with Dillahunty for hours and win the argument. So how is that not intellectual?
I would say that there's a more objective definition to what an intellectual is that has some grounding in education and
Sargon's an intellectual
and book learning.
Okay.
All right, maybe.
Yeah. I think,
what do you think, Declan?
I think Sargon actually is an intellectual because the problem is that, yes, poring over books, but especially the social justice warriors and the feminists, they're attacking it from the wrong angle. So they're looking up like all these...
Yeah.
You could study for years, but if you're studying nonsense, then you're just versed in nonsense. And I would argue that... I would definitely argue against Sargon not being intellectual because I've watched him for ages, and the amount of study that he does on the topics would rival any person at uni. So I'm not like people that could go to university, study, definitely can be intellectuals, but I wouldn't agree that say Sargon is not an intellectual because he's done his own research. He goes over books and books before he does videos. So. Yeah,
and he ties in philosophy, right?
Sean Head is so entertaining. I agree with that.
Sargon ties in philosophy, ties in just listen to him. When you listen to his videos, like I always pick up something new, like a new tidbit of something on philosophy or something on something that came out of the intellectual world. I mean, the guy is an intellectual. Not only is he an intellectual, he's also very entertaining, and he has that golden voice. And so it's like, he's like a triple threat,
Declan, keep practicing and grow out that facial hair.
freaking beard just gets everyone.
By the way, speaking of channels and kind of how that happens, I was curious, and again, you never get to talk about this in your channel. Maybe you do in earlier videos, but talk about like some of your artwork, your you know, the little thumbnail icon that you have, the bigger guy who kind of looks like who's the dude that won't die in Marvel Comics?
Which one?
Deadpool. Damn.
Yeah.
I think
Deadpool. Jesus. Yeah, Deadpool. But I mean, all of that iconography and kind of how you tie that in. Talk about the etymology of that.
Oh well, yeah. Currently, my channel's basically in stasis because I've been, obviously the Deadpool-looking guy. It's not actually Deadpool, but
it is. Okay, I didn't want to make that assumption.
It isn't Deadpool.
I'm like, that looks a lot like him. I don't.
It's different enough to make sure Marvel doesn't sue him.
Well, yeah,
there you go.
Exactly, that's all I need. But I hired someone from on the internet you can get people to do artwork. So from Toei Animation, they've done Deep Dragon Z and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll just get my artwork fully done. It's been about 6 months, so that's why I've got game footage of my videos and stuff, because this guy is just really, really starting to bug me. So that's why I've got the little guy, the little face moment. So it's pretty much just in limbo.
Dude, I love that face, by the way. It looks fantastic. Whoever did it is brilliant.
Oh, I know, he's so freaking talented. That's the problem. Like, that's just a sketch. He hasn't colored it in or anything like that. So that's why I'm like, people are like, just get another artwork. And it's also, I've already put money down because he wanted like some money down first. So but yeah, man, now I'm just like, I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago and he's like, 100% have it done this Sunday. And now, that was 2 weeks ago. So.
Wow, Toei though, that's amazing, man. Dragon Ball Z, that's legendary. That's awesome.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm stuck. I'm still with him because I'm just like, I just really want this because it's. But yeah, so.
No, that's really good. And then the other question I had, because I don't know how this works, where you are you commenting while you're playing? Do you dub that over afterwards?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I would never fucking be able to play a game and then hold some sort of.
Some black guy did that.
He does that all the time, and I was gonna bring that guy up and be like, he does the same thing.
Yeah.
He kept dying, obviously, but
and he was playing Cuphead too. It was pretty hard.
I couldn't go through 30 seconds of this shit without, I don't know, shitting myself. So how do you talk us through the creative process?
Well, yeah, in the videos, obviously, I just I'll record some game footage before or after I've recorded the video, and then just obviously cut it in because so you can sort of fix the sound. I try and fix the sound quality. But yeah, no, I can actually play games and talk. I'm in Australia, so the max internet connection speed I get is 500 kilobytes a second, so I can't stream games. But yeah, it's pretty.
Wow.
Like,
wait,
I won't be able
this?
to have an in-depth.
I didn't know this was a thing.
So you
really?
can't stream games in Australia?
No, I can't. Like, I've tried. It's like I think I can do it at 144p or something. But yeah, it's just ridiculously slow. So
wow, I didn't know that.
I was speaking to someone on my Discord and we were comparing internet speeds. He gets about 200 megabytes a second, and I told him my speed. He was laughing for about 10 minutes. And I'm like, I hate that guy. No, he's a really nice guy, but man, it's just the
I would hate that too.
Internet, and after knowing that you guys get 200 megabytes a second in America, it's just like
there's
I don't even get a megabyte.
You're living in the wrong country, obviously.
Yeah, we have in some places it's ridiculous, and then the upload speeds are even like I mean, you have to pay a lot for like the super high stuff, but not to get you even madder though. Declan, but
it's man, seriously, he mocks me so much about it because I really want to be able to stream. I've been asked to multiple times, but you should try it. It's not as long as the conversation doesn't require you to obviously get into mega depth. You can do it.
No, Dima's just really bad at video games. Bad at it.
First of all, let's find a video game I actually play. I will smash you in Call of Duty.
Okay, fine, whatever. I'm sure I'll still beat you, and then I could probably have a podcast conversation, and still beat you. But anyway, Declan. So what I wanted to kind of get your take on is, so you've kind of been following this for a while. You
This meaning new atheism?
Yeah, well, this
or the fall of atheism,
this social justice, mini bosses, whatever. So it's interesting. It's cool to know that you found atheism first, and then you decided to go this route. But like, where are you seeing it trending? Like, you know, is there going to be like a plateau? Is there going to be a specific time that you think that's when you're like, oh, you know, this is where we're headed, and this is where it's going to peak, and then. Or is it going to keep going? Or like, where do you see this, like this whole thing going?
Well, I hope that I honestly thought at this point that feminism would finally start being on its downfall, and it is a little bit, but it's just taking a very long time. Eventually, I'm thinking that they will obviously just there'll be no more creators for their side, just because there's just too many on our side now that are obviously debunking them, but. In the interim, I just hope that we can start actually, I would love to meet a social justice warrior that I can actually become friends with, just because that would be just such a step forward, because the divide so far, and like, I know some of our side can be a bit dicks, but their side, like the amount of lies that they do, it's just, if they would just stop lying, we could actually, and even if they're so afraid to be wrong, that's what I always find, like, you can be wrong about an argument, but just argue in good faith. But yeah,
isn't by definition you won't be able to, because once you label someone a social justice warrior, that all that baggage comes with it. You know what I mean? So you really have to meet someone who's like not a lying expletive, and then be like, oh, he's not a bad guy. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but you know, I play video games with him.
True. You're right. They would have to think of another, like I said, like Lacey Green was a social justice warrior. I'm not sure if she still is, but like she's someone that I would want to be friends with.
She's progressive.
She's wildly different. Yeah. Yeah, she is. But she's like, I actually, some people still haven't really forgiven her. I don't, like, you know, I think a lot of her content's quite interesting. I don't agree on a lot of it, but still. So, but you're right. I guess that is a good point. Probably should call them social justice warriors, because. Yeah, that's got a ton of baggage.
Well, does it? But I mean, there's like some individuals now that wear it as a badge, just kind of like how shitlords wear shitlords as a badge. You know, like is it kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought there were some people.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I think that's one of the issues. Is we can't. How the hell are we going to agree on stuff if we're like, well, you're on that team, I'm on this team, so fuck you. I'm gonna try and win, because everyone wants to win. That's just the nature of humanity. So we kind of have to be like, you're a person, we don't really agree, but let's meet somewhere in the middle. I think that conversation doesn't happen. We mentioned it like, you know, at the beginning of the podcast. If people were doing that more, I think that's a new frontier. But that's my opinion, and I'm not a YouTube creator. That's why I wanted to throw it back at you, Declan, and see what you think.
No, I think it's a good idea to. I think I might actually start doing that. Find a social justice warrior that actually makes a better argument than the person that I am refuting, to try and show them that, look, if you're going to at least argue, here's at least a better point. But
that's brilliant, actually.
I just think fundamentally, though, from like, it's just the values that both sides have that I think we're really like the progressive left are incredibly authoritarian, and we're very sort of libertarian and free. Like, we have such wide varying ideas in this community or this side, but it's just that if you obviously like Lacey, I keep going back to Lacey, she's just like, she was on the progressive left, then she moved to our side, I guess, but she still believes a lot of what she used to. It's just that she doesn't want to because she was getting heaps of backlash from, and this is why I think they'll eventually lose, because they start eating themselves, because eventually they'll have to start turning on their own. Like Lacey Green was getting so much backlash from their group over something she said about gender or something like that. So
it was just one statement that Lacey, because I don't know the story. I know Lacey, you know, all of a sudden fell out of favor, whatever you want to say.
It's because she had the anti-feminist rhetoric, and she just stopped hating on these people. She was like, well, some of them,
just because she was nice to people?
Yeah, she said some of them have decent points.
Which they do.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's all she said. And that was the only thing that was bad enough for them to ostracize her.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's very telling. But again, that's why I put these folks into a fringe movement. They're not the mainstream. People like Lacey, who has 1.5 million followers.
Yeah, she's
the mainstream.
Near Joe Rogan. She's only like 300,000 off of Joe Rogan, which is insane.
And her and Chris Reagan are pretty good together as well, and they've obviously made videos on each other before, and now, so yeah, I think, but it just depends on if Christie suddenly was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm all sort of libertarian now, I want freedom of speech and stuff, I personally wouldn't ever forgive her, just because the amount of stuff that she's done.
Right, I gotcha.
I think that that's just me, obviously, other people can, but yeah, I hope that we can obviously just, push the real extremes to the further fringes and start, because really, I honestly don't care if you disagree with me 100%. It's just, if you want to silence me, that's when I have an issue with you. If you start slandering me, that's when I have an issue.
Right.
I have people in my friends group that, completely disagree with me 100%. But, politics gets too much into it sometimes.
Yeah, Declan, I was going to ask because I know that, there's sides and we take them, whatever, but do you, in your content, do you call out the fringes of the right movement? I know, so I'll give you an example. Like, you had a video a couple of days ago on this, on Milo being on this Aussie program, and I think, and I actually watched that whole interview. He did a brilliant job in that interview. He was charismatic. He didn't seem fringe, and he seemed like a likable guy.
So he's trying to change his image.
And that was actually the very first interview I'd ever seen of Milo, and I was like, why do people hate him? So I couldn't understand it. And I saw obviously the lady that was, Jessica, whatever her name is, she was lashing out at him, and I'm like, what a bitch. So I couldn't understand that. And then obviously I talked to some of the people in the group, and I was like, what's up with this Milo guy? Again, I'm not you can tell I live in a fucking cave.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you need to look him up. He is a hardcore promoter. At least that's how he started getting popular. A hardcore promoter of the far right. Yeah. And anti-Semitism and Nazism and all that. And I looked into it, and I'm like, holy shit. So right now, maybe he's trying to change his image, which maybe that's already too late because he already did that. But I don't think, I mean, you obviously only reviewed that one interview, which I think you did a marvelous job on, because he didn't get the right treatment. But that treatment was based on all the shit that he had said a year ago. But you don't call out these people like, yes, he was mistreated, but let's be clear, Milo's, a far righter, and I don't support white supremacism and all that.
I think you've got a bad impression of Milo. I actually do agree that I don't agree with a lot of, I agree with some. Milo's very, very hyperbolic, and a lot of his, I honestly don't think he is definitely a shock jockey, and he's definitely says some stuff to obviously get a reaction, but he's definitely, and that's the thing, you don't really know much about him, so you think, but no, I don't think he actually is far right. He's married to a black, he recently married a black person, and he's obviously gay. It's just that he does it for attention. He's more of a attention whore.
Yeah, that's what he is.
But that is. I get your point. We should be focusing on more of the far right as well, because if we don't, then they obviously once the left is complete, the progressive left are completely just debunked. Then
where do we go?
The ones that will. But that's why that really annoys me. You definitely won't agree with a lot of what Milo says, just from the basis of what I've seen of your political ideology. Mm-hmm. But still, he's full freedom of speech.
He is.
He's really. I'm trying to think of some. I would actually just go to Milo's channel and maybe watch some videos of his. But he gets a lot. But still, even in that interview, she wanted him to pay the consequences for the words of other people. We'll take the Leslie Jones. All he did was say that she looked like a man. Yep. And then she was actually trying to, she was retweeting all his tweets and everything like that. So, this situation, Milo was actually the one that was more in the right than she was, and yet he gets just banned. So that's why I really hate the media, because
interesting.
Yeah, you don't need to classify Milo as far right, because some of his arguments you can debunk. So he's actually right on, because he has studied up quite a lot. But yeah, that's just what I do need to cover more people on the far right. But it's just that at the moment, so many people are called far right. You have to really dig into if someone actually is or not. So.
Right. Oh, I totally agree. My my interpretation was after. So I have an enormous amount of respect for Ben Shapiro, and I don't know if you watch.
Oh yeah, I love Ben Shapiro.
So Ben Shapiro,
I love when they were fighting. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I think he is one of, if not the best debater I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know of anyone who can hold a candle to him, and frankly, we're on the lookout for someone who who could intellectually be able to represent the liberal position against him. But that would
be really interesting.
I mean, that would be an earth-shattering debate. That being said, he made an entire video on Milo, which was one of the reasons why he left Breitbart, and the fact that he was one of the people who started promoting the alt-right movement. And because I respect Ben so much, I took that to heart, and I was like, oh shit, if Ben is calling this guy, a proponent of it, and then he showed some sort of documentation he had about that, I was like, okay, I have to take his words with some more weight.
Oh yeah, I love Ben Shapiro. What I've noticed that Ben Shapiro has a bit of a blind spot for Milo and Trump, so I don't actually really agree. But yeah, I think it was. I saw those emails as well. BuzzFeed did it. It wasn't anything about whiteness. It was just like we're in a massive culture war and stuff like that. So it's more. But yeah, like I said, I watch Ben Shapiro every day. But when it came, I loved watching them argue. It was really funny. But yeah, I think he has a bit of a blind spot. But yeah, Ben Shapiro is definitely more sort of by your bootstraps. He's got his argument.
Classical
really
conservative.
And yeah, he's fantastic. And Milo's different. He's more he's an entertainer. But Milo's got a lot of good points as well. It's just you have to he'll go feminism is cancer, which but anyway, so you have to just get past that. So
right. Well, in that interview, I think he labeled himself as like a conservative Stephen Colbert, and I thought that was a fantastic way to kind of. I mean, that's such a great way to label yourself, because who can hate on that? Then?
But the thing with Milo is he's a failed stand-up. And he learned the craft of stand-up, which, controversy, there really is no line there. And he understands, he's the antagonist. He understands that controversy and saying things that are ridiculous are going to get you a lot of attention. The only problem with that model is, it works in the short term, but in the long term, you end up saying stuff that people just can't accept. Like one of his biggest problems at the end was he started joking about how it's okay to rape children.
Yeah.
Like some other podcasters we know. And that was it. That was the end of Milo. And it sounds like from what you were saying, he's talking to the Aussie guys. His PR person's probably like, okay, we got to fix your image. We got to, you really got to tone this down. You really got to, start focusing on the points. And, and this, you will start to see this with someone that had fame like that trying to make a comeback. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a completely different Milo, in down the road here. And I was going to ask you, Declan, one of the things, so when we started going through this, these mini bosses, they had three options. They had the option one was completely ignoring us, which would have been their best, in my opinion. Option two was to degrade us and say, oh, they're just a small organization, no one cares, who cares about this, blah, 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 right? Which would have been a better option than they chose. But they chose option three, where all they did was talk about us and build us up and make us look like this giant organization that's giving someone a giant platform, which makes absolutely no sense, right? Outrage. But so I guess my question to you guys is, and I wonder if this is worth an experiment. We have Bearing on next week. I might ask him the same question. With Christy Winters and Steve Shibez, let me just take those two, because they're by far have been the worst to us. What do you think of this? What Demo is talking about, focusing on the right. I totally agree with that 100%. I think a good strategy to shut those two down is to just take 6 months off and don't talk about them at all. And just no, I'm being serious. Like Shibez has really put himself in a corner where he's, you know, he doesn't talk to anybody that doesn't agree with him, type of thing. But I know he's watching your videos. I know he's watching Bearing's videos. I know he's waiting for the, oh, what's the response going to be? Blah blah blah. What if? And this is hypothetical. I totally understand. You know, the takedown videos get more views, and I get all of that. Trust me, I get it. But like hypothetically, if you, Bearing, Sargon, I know Sargon really hasn't done much in a while, Armored Shoe, what if you guys just got together and say, hey, we're not going to talk about these guys anymore for 6 months and see what happens?
It would be interesting. You would need everyone to obviously not do it. I think if we actually did that, yeah, they'd start doing some really, really outrageous stuff. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But what I would do is I would get Steve Shibez on your conference with another person and just make him, like, you know, obviously have a debate. Steve will obviously lose, and then not talk to him, because
no, he won't do it, dude. He won't do it.
He probably wouldn't come to your conference anyway, but he is going to a conference, an atheist conference. So
talk about the irony there, right? Good. Talk about the irony.
Oh, I know.
The interesting thing.
I was looking up the conference, and it was. So I was looking up the conference, and man, your conference looked so much. It looked like the saddest thing I'd ever seen. So.
Well, I'll say this. I've already sent my letter to their venue trying to deplatform. No, of course I didn't. Of course, who does that shit? Who takes the time out of their day to write an email to a venue? It doesn't make any sense.
I feel personally threatened by the fact that there are certain people that are going to be there. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, there's going to be violence there, right? Yeah, right.
No, it's
I'm just glad
it's a tactic.
Your venue didn't back down. That would have been
so
awful
happy.
if they were like, yeah, no, you can't do it anymore.
Well, they're very cool about it.
Yeah, and we got lucky because, you know, the year before, there's one management group that deals with the 3 premier venues in the city, and we worked with them the year before, so we already built this rapport. They saw how the conference went the year before, so that's why they really were like, you know, they brought us in. They're like, hey, you know, we're getting this. What's the deal? Like, you know, last year there was no problems. What's going on? And, you know, we had to kind of, how do you explain this? You know, how do you explain crazy? And so we're like, you know, here's the thing, like it's YouTube and, you know, crazy mixed in. And they're like, okay, well, look, you're just going to have to get extra security, which fucking sucked that we had to pay, you know, $4 grand extra just for security guards to walk up and down. And then people still said they felt danger. You know, here's the thing. Like, if people still felt in danger there, that is the most bullshit fucking comment I've ever heard in my life. Like, I've been to sporting events where there's less security. I've been to, like, you know, like, seriously, the amount of, like, security guards that were walking up and down the aisles, and then we had people at the front desk. We had a whole team of security at the front. It was like, are you kidding me?
There was a whole team of women at the front.
Yeah, well, our team, but no, but the head of security was up there with 2 other security guards and Milwaukee police right outside the door while people were getting patted down with metal detectors.
Wow.
It's like, are you kidding me? How do you not this? Like the only way we can make this safer is if we put pillows on everyone's heads and make everything out of fucking bubble wrap. Like, I don't know what else.
But that you know that was not a reasonable.
I know
that was like hyperbolic statements
totally hyperbolic.
to make.
I forgot you guys are new to this. When they say they feel unsafe, it means they've heard something that they don't like. It's actually heard a lot, like on university campuses as well. Like when Milo or Ben or something will come to speak, they'll be like, "Oh, we feel unsafe," and like there'll be tons of security like you have. So yeah, that's why I think that you just can't deal with these actual crazy people, because if literally just like you said, you have basically armed people like walking down the aisle and they still don't feel safe. They're like, there's nothing we can do besides just deplatform the person. But, yeah, it's hilarious. I can't believe that you had to have like so much security for an atheist conference in Milwaukee, but yeah, you can thank Christy for that at least.
Well, you know, what are you gonna do? I mean, that's one of those situations. Again, we
you have to do it. Yeah,
we try to take the high road in these things, but we are excited for next year, and that is going to be something that's in the works right now. We're talking to different creators and really trying to craft something that's going to be interesting for people. That's not just going to cater to one demographic or to one side. That's really going to have diverse viewpoints there. So that whenever that lineup comes out, which I think it might come out incrementally as we talk to more and more people, that will be that'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Have as many different sites. That's because I said in a video, I would have so many different groups at my conference. So yeah, I might actually travel to Milwaukee depending on the people that you get.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you've ever been to the U.S. If
no, I really want to go. So it's gonna be I might travel up. It's a great excuse.
If you need an excuse, then there's gonna be an excuse for us to to ply you with beer.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. So Declan, we're coming up. We're almost at an hour already. What do you got coming up? Like, what are we looking for? What's going on in the YouTube world on your end?
Well, at the moment, I'm working on a second documentary. I've been calling them on because I've been looking at different YouTube people from different sides and like how they were they came about, and so that's what. But yeah, I've hit a wall with that. But that's coming up. Getting a green screen kit and stuff, and I'm just trying to work on different.
Ooh,
I might start covering.
That's awesome.
Might start covering the right a bit more.
Does that mean we're gonna see your non-bearded face?
How do you know? I don't know.
Right,
I might have a glorious, sexy one. But no, it depends. I'm kind of throwing around a couple of ideas. I might test it out, but yeah, just trying to reconnect or connect with more YouTubers and trying to connect with the audience a bit more, and get some freaking better internet.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't know you guys were living in the 1990s over there.
Oh, it's worse than you can probably, in terms of just internet. It's real. Have you ever had to watch a video at 144p? Like, I'm not even kidding.
On my phone.
Have to, freaking Americans have such good internet. But yeah, like.
I don't understand. What are you in the desert in a shack somewhere? What's the problem?
No, I'm in a pretty, I'm near my university, so it's not like I'm just in the bum somewhere.
Right.
It's just our internet is so bad.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah. I had no idea. That's crazy.
Well,
I probably want to move to America.
I was gonna say, time to move to another country.
Well, and the sun's really bad out there too, right? Like skin cancer is like a whole thing.
Dude, everything. They have giant spiders and snakes, man. I don't want to fuck with Australia.
Man, I should have taken a picture of it. Last night, I went into the kitchen, and it's literally the biggest spider I've ever seen. It was, it was massive. Like, this thing was like almost a quarter size of the wall. So yeah, a lot of stuff want to kill us over here.
Wow.
It's really, oh man,
that's crazy. Well, Declan,
for you guys,
go for it. No, go for it.
But yeah, just I just, if you want, I would watch. Milo's done some really good university speeches. Just because I think I heard you watch CNN, right? Like, and that's why I think you're I don't think you'll agree with much of what he says. But Brian does. Well, tell him to stop. CNN.
Brian does.
I don't think you'll agree much with what he says, but I think that because he gets a lot that he's like this white supremacist, and he's just this. But yeah, he's just like a hyperbolic type of person. He really actually doesn't have many views that are really, really, like I said, he's got a black husband and everything. So yeah.
I appreciate people being contrarians. My view was solely based off of what essentially Ben Shapiro said about him. So I guess if that's not,
yeah, but I'll say this too. I mean, to Brian's credit, like, the guy's a genius. Like, that's the problem. Like, when he's not available and I gotta sit in, the show's like intellectual property comes like way down.
Oh, thanks, asshole.
Well, I'm talking about me. Like Brian is just he knows everything. Like, he knows everything about YouTube. He knows everything about CNN. He knows everything about Milo. He would be citing specific examples of what Milo was saying at university. Like, that'd
be heaps of fun. Why didn't you bring him on, man? Am I not good enough for? Is he a bearing type of person? I'm guessing, you guys.
Who?
But no.
No. He's traveling for work. He wanted to be here. He just couldn't. He's traveling.
Yeah. But that's why I like you guys, because I want to have debates with other people that disagree with me. I love it. It's fun, and I don't mind if I actually lose. But yeah, anyway, I've had a ton of fun, guys. Thank you so much. It's good to actually finally get to chat to you guys. You know, we've obviously chatted a lot in DMs, and
yeah, it was.
Thank you so much for speaking to me, not Christy. So
it's fantastic.
Really
we're gonna look forward to more content from you.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna promote your channel,
Yep.
and
we'll have the links in the blog. And
we
all
love the
fun
work
stuff,
that you do. Everyone should check out DeclanBlack, and we will definitely see you. I'll say definitely because I'm going to be optimistic here.
Well, in
Milwaukee.
before you sign off, I just want to say one thing that is, I think, overlooked a lot with Mythcon. We're starting to see now YouTubers talking to podcasters talking to bloggers talking to whatever. So I mean, you know, I think that's overlooked a lot, and this is another like example of like we were in the podcast world, you were in the YouTube world, and now we're talking, and this is, you know, really what we're trying to do with Mythcon. I hope more of this happens. You know,
talking.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I didn't even before I didn't even really realize there was a podcasting world, but you're completely correct. You did actually get people from the podcasting world and the YouTube world to talk. Yeah, that is a great point. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
There's a whole video in it for you, Declan.
He has a whole video for you, Declan.
On the cross-contamination of different content medias.
Declan, thank you again so much, man. Just stick on the line here. We're gonna stop the recording. And again, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sweet.
I know.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Myth Informed. Myth Informed is brought to you by Mythicist Milwaukee. Producers Sean Frasick, associate producers Fritz Blondone and Kristen Whitaker Hood, engineer Josh Benishek, and hosts Brian, Dimitri. Every week, we produce a new podcast that sheds light on religion, secularism, and mythology. If you enjoy this show, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mythicist. Mythicist Milwaukee also brings major secular conferences and debates to the Milwaukee area, along with community events, both local and online. To support us in bringing future events, become a member at mythicistmilwaukee.com to receive member-only benefits. You can also visit mythicistmilwaukee.com and hit the donate button located at the bottom of each page to place a financial donation amount of your choice. And now, the closing theme, written and performed by Shelley Siegel.
Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? No, they are all myths, and who will be the next to die? There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they